Are you tired of Lysandra getting rid of your frontline? Just build a Quicksilver and put it on a unit in front of her. She now deals 0 damage and her ability is useless. Also, there is no point in griefing a lobby by forfeiting against a player who has lunch money. Even though a forfeit results in over 100 player damage, this will not generate any bonus gold. Here are 11 more interactions from set 11 you didn't know about. But before we get started, only a small percent of my viewers are subscribed, which means I will have to unleash this 8 bruiser Ani with double Archangel and heavy hitters at the end of the video to hunt them down. Let's start the video with a boom, a Ba-BOOM to be exact. This new prismatic augment joined in set 11 and grants your champion 75% more damage for 2 seconds after every cast. The second cast of each unit will profit from the bonus damage, but there is one unit that gets way more value than intended. Aphelios has a unique ability that is split into 2 parts. First, he sunders 3 opponents and then he deals damage to them. As it turns out, splitting his ability completely breaks this augment. First of all, every single cast of Aphelios receives the enhanced damage, but it gets even better. For some reason, the ability acts as a toggle for his enhanced auto attacks. This means after his first cast, every single one of his attacks deals enhanced damage until he ults again. On a second cast, only his first attack is enhanced and then the bonus damage is completely lost until he ults again. Overall, this broken interaction means this augment grants Aphelios an insane power spike, and until it gets fixed, it is a must pick for every fated player. Kobuko is an exclusive TFT champion introduced in set 11 and he has a unique passive that grants him permanent HP for every gold interest you have. If you have a Kobuko 3-star and 50 gold in your bank, he gains 100 permanent HP at the start of the next round. Did you know that this HP gain only happens after you gain your gold interest? For example, if you have 8 gold and only reach the 10 gold threshold with your passive income at the start of the next round, Kobuko will still gain the bonus HP. This becomes even crazier if you combine them with the augment Hedge Fund. Normally, your interest caps out at 50 gold, but with the help of Hedge Fund, it can go all the way up to 100. Kobuko will in fact gain more HP if you're running Hedge Fund for a maximum of 200 permanent HP every single round. If you have enough bruisers, he can reach over 10,000 HP, but just be careful about the enemy Lysandra, she won't care. It is no secret that Heavenly Yone is currently a menace to deal with in the meta, and if you want to try this comp yourself, there is a secret trick you can pull off to give yourself an advantage. Sometimes you will encounter the augment Divine Rolls, which grants you 4 free rerolls at the start of each stage and an additional roll for each Heavenly unit on your board. At least in the current patch 14.7, this augment doesn't count unique Heavenly units, but instead takes duplicates into consideration. This means in every PvE stage you want to only field Heavenly units to maximize the amount of rolls you receive at the start of each stage. Usually, your units should be strong enough to beat the PvE monsters, even if you put your main carry on the bench, and you can simply swap back to your normal board before facing the next player. Speaking of problematic augments, Everything Must Go is currently wreaking havoc in the meta, and it is pretty much confirmed to get removed in the upcoming patch. If you want to abuse this augment before it's gone, there are 2 tricks you can do to give yourself even more of an advantage. First of all, you always want to keep your unit bench full. Since buying units doesn't cost any gold, this will never put you at a disadvantage and it allows you to collect as many pairs and upgrades as possible. But there is another reason why you want to keep your bench full, because you want to make sure that orbs that drop from PvE rounds will always contain gold. A full bench results in units from orbs transforming into gold instead of moving to your bench where they are useless because they would sell for 0 gold. There's only one unit that is an exception to this rule, which is Xayah. If you simply move Xayah to your board, you can sell her for 5 gold instead of 0 gold because the transformation part of the lover trait interferes with the selling mechanic. While Everything Must Go will get removed very soon, let's take a look at a bug that might never get removed. As you know, if you 3-star a unit, then this unit can never show up in your shop again. This has been a core mechanic in TFT for a long time, but there is a way to bypass this rule. Every time you visit an opponent's board, you can roll at a very specific time when you and your units are entering the portal. There is a half-second time frame where you don't own a board, and therefore the game doesn't recognize that you have 3-star units. This is why sometimes you will encounter champions in your shop that you already own as a 3-star. There is a trick to force the exact timing. Simply move your mouse cursor at the end of the stage counter of your interface at the top of your screen and press the reroll button when the blue bar hits your cursor. In case you're wondering, yes, this is the same bug and setup from my set 10 video that allowed you to roll for more headliners. One of the coolest additions of set 11 is the augment Trash to Treasure. This augment lets you reforge completed items into artifacts artifacts without consuming the Reforger. However, sometimes you end up with bad artifacts, and if you try to reforge them, you will end up losing the Reforger since you only have infinite uses on completed items. There is one super useful trick to circumvent this dilemma, and it's to simply reforge an artifact and a completed item at the same time. Now you receive 2 new artifacts and you get to keep your Reforger. This is an insanely useful mechanic because with every new item you receive from PvE rounds or augments, you can reroll 2 of your worst artifacts and set yourself up for a much stronger late game. This trick also allows you to force specific artifacts with more consistency, for example, the Trickster's Glass. This artifact creates a copy of the holder with less HP and higher max mana. It is a popular choice in ghostly comps to create 2 additional specters, but one of the best users happens to be Aelia. She doesn't have a mana bar, and instead her cast is based around a stack system. Once she reaches 8 stacks, she will strike the 3 lowest enemies for a lot of physical damage. Giving a Trickster to Aelia has no downsides since she is positioned safely in the backline and is not affected by the mana penalty. You can push this mechanic with Aelia even further with the augment Tons of Stats. This gold augment grants your team a combat buff of 44 health, 4% attack damage, ability power, attack speed, armor and MR. It also grants 4 mana to each unit, and this effect has a unique interaction with Aelia. For some reason, Aelia will count the bonus mana and start with 4 instead of 0 stacks. This means she only needs to hit 4 instead of 8 units before casting her ability. Just imagine running multiple copies of Aelia with Trickster's Glass and Tons of Stats that completely destroy the enemy team only seconds into the fight. And how am I winning this fight? How the fuck am I winning this? I did not expect to win this fight. Even though I just published a video about way mechanics, it turns out there is still a lot more to discover. For example, what exactly happens if he tries to copy a unit if the entire bench is filled up because you're running an augment like Cluttered Mind. In this spot, he will start his animation but won't copy a unit if there is no space. This can be useful if you have an early wave from Recombobulator and want to prepare stacks in advance for a potential golden egg in stage 4. Just be careful, if you create space in the planning phase, the copy will appear right away and all stacks are consumed, but you can make changes to your bench once combat starts. So far, I managed to grief myself multiple times already. For example, Wei is smart enough to realize that he can create a 2-stack copy if you happen to run a pair on your item bench, and you can kiss your stacks goodbye. For some reason, this mechanic even has a hidden interaction with Tome of Traits, where you can actually upgrade your Tome of Traits to 2-star. Sadly, this doesn't do anything, and you just end up losing one of your tomes in the process. One hidden mechanic that is probably better off in the open is the Udia encounter, where you can select between 3 different paths, each giving you 2 relevant components. If you select defense, you receive a Giant's Belt and a Chain Vest. If you select attack, you receive a BF sword and a sparring glove. If you select magic, you receive a rod and a tear. As far as I know, the outcomes for this selection are always the same, so the next time you encounter Udia, you know exactly which components you will end up with. For the final interaction, let's take a look at the Ornn artifact Mana Zane. After casting, the holder receives 120 mana over 5 seconds, but this item can have a vastly different effect depending on the unit that is holding it. For example, Syndra might arguably be the worst Mana Zane user in the entire game. In theory, the item should be great on her since it should make her cast multiple times at the start of the fight, but the reality looks a lot different. Syndra will often look like she's AFK and she will end up losing like half the value of the item. You are much better off just giving her a normal blue buff. My personal favorite unit with this item is Teemo. Not only is he extremely strong as an item holder in the early mid game, he also has effectively no mana lock and will continuously spread his poison across the enemy team. While he tries to avoid targeting units that are already poisoned, he can still hit a unit more than once and the poison damage will in fact stack, so there is no value lost whatsoever. Which was your favorite hidden interaction? Let me know in the comments. Also, I think it's time to unleash the beast. I hope you learned something and see you next time.